I've heard it said that the only knot you need to know if you're going to sea is a bowline. That's spelt bowline, but it's always pronounced bowline. Well, you could say that was true, I suppose, if you were really idle and didn't want to learn anything in your life. You could probably muddle by if all you could tie was a bowline, but you'd be struggling really. You can use a bowline to tie two ropes together because a bowline makes a knot that won't slip. There it is. It's a loop. It'll never go anywhere and it won't tighten up on itself. So if you put another one there, you'd be able to tie two ropes together. You could use that loop to tie your dinghy to the pontoon or to tie the painter to the dinghy. You could use it to tie something to your bosun's chair to pull you up aloft. Or you could even tie one round yourself if you were in the water and needed to be lifted out. But there's a reason why all these specialist knots have been developed to do these jobs, and the bowline has its functions which it's best suited to. And probably the most important one of these, the one that everybody uses it for now, is to bend a sheet onto the clew of a sail. Now I'm going to do that now, and when I do, I'm going to show you how to tie the knot. The clever thing about the knot is that it can be tied in any direction at all, and there are all sorts of ways of tying it, but the sailor always ties it the same way. He ties it the way I like to think Lord Nelson learned how to tie it, and it has got absolutely nothing to do with rabbits coming up through holes. So here's how it works. Here's my staysail, nice big meaty clew, and here's the staysail sheet. I pass the line through the clew of the sail, and that is where my loop's going to be. Now I have to make the knot. First of all, I pass the working end across the standing part. Then I turn it into the loop, and I take hold of the standing part and I push that away so that the working end is coming up through this turn in the rope. Now if you look at the turn in the rope, if we push it up that way, it's going to bind on there. If we push it down that way, the whole thing will fall apart. So we're going to bind it together by passing that behind there, which will bind it, and then pushing it back down the hole again. And if we pull that end and the standing part, the knot will be formed, and that's how it works. To take it off, no matter what load has been on it, all you have to do is push that over like that. Push that bight into the standing part and the knot will always come undone, even if it's been tested virtually to destruction. Okay, let's do that one more time. I'm holding the ropes away from me like this, standing part in my left hand because I'm right-handed, and the working end in my right hand. I put the working end across the standing part and I hold it in my hand like that. Notice how my hand is as I'm holding that rope. And I'm going to twist my whole hand now so that I'm pulling this bit behind me into the loop. Complete twist of my hand. And when I've made that twist of my hand, I take hold of the standing part in my left hand and I shove it away from me so that this is now coming up a hole. All I now have to do is take it round the back to bind that together and push it back down the hole again to complete the knot. And I pull both ends. And that is a proper bowline. You'll see people trying to tie it like this. They make the hole and they push the rope up through it and they try and it falls to bits because they've put it wrong way around. Don't go there. You may get it right or you may not. Tie it like a sailor. In like that, push it away from you, round the back, back down the hole. Proper bowline. Now suppose you've got to tie it and you cannot tie it with the bight towards you like this, which is the natural way to do it. Suppose for some reason the clew is over here and you've got to get round this way to tie the knot. Well, that suddenly starts to look very difficult, but it isn't actually, because all you do, you pull it through and you imagine that you're standing there. You're not, but you imagine you are, and you pull your hands and your shoulders round as though you were. You push this up here and you do it in just the same way. You put that across there, you twist it in, pull that away, up through a little bit, down there to hold that together, and back down the hole again and pull it tight. So you can make the knot in either direction. You've got to practice it, and I recommend that you don't practice it on the clew of a sail. If I were you, I'd get yourself a short length of rope and just keep doing it until you can do it in the dark, and until you can do it behind your back and every other which way that you can possibly think of. And when you can do that, you can call yourself a sailor. Don't even think about calling yourself a sailor until you can. It's the most important single skill you'll learn apart from sailing to windward. Bowline. Take the working end in your right hand, the bight in your left hand, working end over the bight, and twist your whole wrist so that the working end ends up coming out of a hole like this. Take hold of the standing part and push it away. Then take the working end around the back of the standing part and back down in again. Pull those two ends to tighten the knot up, and there you have it.